ready for another lesson?
What's up, everybody, and welcome back to Back Row Banter, your favorite casual movie talk podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Adam Schwartz, and on this week's episode, we'll be talking about the movie Sinners. But of course, before we get to any of that, I am joined today by Nighttime Nathaniel Gingrich.
What up, folks? I'm Nighttime Nathaniel. I like it at the nighttime. The night is a very dark time for me.
Is that a pun?
It's a Blades of Glory. Blades of Glory quote.
I like that. Is Blades of Glory? Oh, go ahead, Blake.
No, go ahead. It was just going to be some pre-pod lore, but it was going to say I thought he had another Nelly Furtado drop for us.
That would have been great. I was gonna ask if that's the movie where the guy is scared to go out in the sun. He's agoraphobic, but nope, that's Benchwarmers.
Yes.
Yes.
Similar era. Other John Heater film. Blades of Glory is the ice skating one.
Right.
With Will Ferrell. Chaz Michael Michaels.
Yeah. Chaz Michael Michaels. Shout out. Benchwarmers, though, underrated movie. That movie doesn't get talked about enough. A good movie. Is that Rob Schneider in that? Is that who that is?
Yeah. That's definitely Rob Schneider. And David Spade and John Heater.
Yes. Also joining us today is Big Juke BlakeHolder.
Hey, what up?
How you doing, Blake?
Good, man. I'm good. Good to chat with the fellas again. We just linked in person about 72 hours ago. Right? Is my math right? 72 3 days?
Roughly.
24, 48, 72. Yeah, roughly.
Yeah. No, we're at 72. It's
96-ish.
Yeah,
we'll call it 88 meet halfway or something like that.
All right.
But yeah, man,
a few days ago,
good to chat with the fellas again.
But no, that was a very good time, very good night. We watched. I guess we'll do what we're watching early here. We watched Final Destination.
We introduced
Adam's
Adam.
first.
Yeah,
my first watch. Which we never really talked about. We never really talked about it that much. I liked it. Didn't love it. Like I had a good time with it. I understand the appeal. I think for me, this is going to be a hard franchise for me to enjoy because I don't. It's like I'm not the type of horror where it's like I want to see the craziest kills possible and like what's the Rube Goldberg machine that's going to take your head off going to be like.
Yeah,
I get it, and I get that some people enjoy that. I just personally I'm not like looking for inventive ways to die. So I can understand the appeal. I think there is some fun campiness to it that I did like and take away. But overall it was good. Not something that I'm like gonna be a diehard fan for though.
For sure, you're 90s schlock, right? As they say,
right?
Or I guess 2000. I think it came out in 2000. But yeah, man.
How many are there now?
5. 6th one is coming out this year, and it'll be about Nathaniel can correct me. It'll be probably about a 14-year hiatus or some shit like that. Between 5 and 6.
I think. Well,
when's the last one?
I think that's
11?
2011. 10? Yeah. Because I remember senior year of high school, so I think that's 2011.
Yeah. So I hear you.
It's funny you guys talk about that. Yeah, nothing crazy. One of my like core attachments to the Final Destination as a franchise. I don't know why I remember this. You guys remember Kittyland?
No.
I guess you wouldn't. You're not from here. Okay.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
You know what I'm talking about. So Kittyland, Nathaniel, and for listeners who aren't from the Chicagoland areas from whatever point before 2009, I think.
I sounded like I was like, no, but I was more like, is that a show? Like I was trying to figure out if it was a location show or like.
I should have maybe not just asked that as like a you guys should remember this, not necessarily. Kittyland, for those who don't know, was like a kids centric amusement park. Where was this located? Was it like I don't know what town was it?
In the Chicagoland suburbs.
Park.
I thought it maybe Addison Trail.
Yeah, that sounds right.
That's not a real
that
place.
kind of sounds right.
That's a mystical place.
It's in the Chicagoland suburbs. It was a well-known place. And they had some ride there, and I remember going, and we would go pretty often when I was younger, and I probably was around between the ages of 6 to 9 when this happened. But my older cousin, he's maybe 20 years older than me or something like that, so he's an adult at this point. But we were getting in line for like this roller coaster that had like, it was one that was, it stuck up from the center, and then it had like different arms. And then you got like 4 different pods almost, and then those pods would like spin, so the whole thing would spin in one circle, and then you're spinning within that circle too. But the thing, here's the gist of it: the pods spun. You could control your speed by spinning the wheel. So my older cousin, as we're sitting in line, goes, "Ever seen Final Destination?" And I'm like, no, I'm like, I don't know. I was like a kid, and my older brothers were there, so they were talking about that.
Yeah.
No idea.
Exactly. And my older brothers were there, and I think other kids, like there were, the older cousins were there, or whatever. And so he was mainly talking to them, but I just remember him talking about this, and they were like joking about how the roller coaster was just about to like fly off the hinges, and like how crazy it would be if he just kept spinning it so much that their whole pod just flies off the roller coaster, like in Final Destination. And I don't know why I remember that, but that is like a core association for that movie. Is like every time I think of Final Destination or someone says that, like I can't help but think of that memory.
Man, like Blake and we've definitely talked about it before, but like, and we might have even talked about it on pod, but there is definitely the like niche millennial generation like identifier of, we all don't know what happens why you don't drive behind a logging truck kind of thing. And like it's hard to describe in a world before phones how universal that is, where going to the movies was just such a universal activity that like even more so than it is nowadays, that like I can remember seeing the Final Destination 2 trailer and just being like, holy shit, that's the scariest movie in the world. Like, and I had to have been like 9 or something. Right. And like, but it was like one of those things where I felt like everyone came back to school on Monday and like had either it must have played before something big or something for some reason, like a Batman or something like that. Because I remember it was just like everyone in school was like, did you see that movie trailer this weekend? Like it was just a known thing. And it's just, it feels, it's weird to talk about like how pervasive that feeling was in a world when we didn't like always have social media or the internet in our pocket. Right.
Yeah. Excellent point.
What I think about is how no one, and the kids especially, like they didn't grow up bored. Like when's the last time you guys were bored? Like if I'm bored, I pull out my phone and then I'm not bored anymore. But
you
like
can
before
find
phones,
some sort of instant entertainment.
Yeah, man. Before phones, like you had to wait in line at stores. You had to wait in line for amusement parks. So like whatever it is, like you know.
Which is also a crazy concept. Like when you think about it now, could you imagine like going to an amusement park, waiting in line for 45 minutes to get to your ride and not being able to like pick up your phone? Like, it sounds crazy, but like I would even have a hard time doing that, and I'm 30. Yeah. It's not like I'm 15.
No, 100%.
You know what I mean? So yeah, it's crazy, man, how dependent we've become on technology.
Yeah.
Yeah, this came up on a podcast I was listening to. Trevor Noah's podcast, actually. They were talking about this. I forgot who the guest was. But Trevor Noah also mentioned, he's like, yeah, but like you would, if you needed to catch a bus, like, and if you were running late, like you had no way of knowing, like, all right, if I'm if there's no one there when you arrived, am I the first one here? Did I, or did I miss the bus? Like, like you didn't know that. And like, you had no way of communicating with like your friends. Like if you missed the train or you missed the bus and you had an appointment and then you show up an hour late, or you show up and they're not, like, you had no way to have that communication. It was just, hey, like next time I see you, like, let's have that be at this location on this date at this time. Yeah. And then you didn't talk to that person until that date, that location, that time. And you just hoped they showed up. It's like, that's crazy to think about.
Yeah, it is
crazy to think about. And I don't know barring some kind of catastrophic infrastructure failure, I don't know if kids will have to experience that for a long period of time anytime soon.
Not at all, man. Not at all.
Crazy. Well, regardless of phones and whatnot. Oh, we should probably also address before we get into this review. Tyler's not here.
He's fine.
Forgot to mention that.
He's
fine. Don't worry about him.
Yeah.
He's waiting for the bus.
He's totally fine.
He doesn't know if he missed it or not. But no, he had some things to take care of tonight, and also wasn't able to catch the movie over the weekend. Busy weekend for him as well. So this is not going to be.
But a little friend named Jesus came back this weekend. So
he did.
I mean, metaphorically, if he actually came back a second time, we probably wouldn't have the podcast. Well,
the Pope did die yesterday, so maybe that's a sign.
That's fucking crazy. Yeah, let's put a pin in that for when.
Yeah.
Let's not open that can of worms. Whoa.
Yeah. Apologies.
Jinx, you owe me a Coke.
Jinx.
Fair.
But yes, Tyler's fine. He hasn't seen the movie. This will be reviewed as a regular episode, technically, not a bit of sizzle, even though usually when we're down a member, it's sometimes a bit of sizzle. But since he is going to be seeing this movie and eventually giving his ranking/rating on it, we will have this be an official episode, no bit of sizzle. And then Tyler's okay, and he'll be back next week.
He's fine.
Sir.
Cool. Now let's get into the review. Nathaniel, if listener here is new, or maybe they've just forgotten, can you give them a rundown of how our review segment works?
Oh, yeah. What's up, folks? Hey, if you're new, or maybe you've just forgotten, the way the review segment works here on Back Row Banter is it is split into two sections. There's the non-spoiler section, and then there's the spoiler section. It's pretty self-explanatory. In the non-spoiler section, we'll go over the movie itself, who wrote it, who directed it, who's in it, all that good stuff. We'll go around the squadron tonight, a triumvirate, and decide if we would recommend the movie. It's got to be a yes or no. There is no nuance on the internet. Then we'll play the spoiler noise. We'll go into any big spoilers for you. Probably just kind of try and treat this one with as little spoilers as we can, because then we're going to have to kind of talk about it. So, yeah, go check it out if you don't want to have anything spoiled for you. Come back, listen to the rest of the episode. Well, it'll be marked in the show notes when you can hop out and hop back in. And but come back and listen to where we would rank it up on our Entropy list, which is our big list of everything we have watched on the podcast, all ranked on Letterboxd. You can view it, folks. You can peruse it yourself. You can like it. You can subscribe to it. You can love it. Yeah, Adam, tell me about Sinners.
I would love to, Nathaniel. This is a new movie, rated R, with a runtime of 2 hours and 17 minutes and an IMDb rating of 8.2 out of 10. And if you've been listening to the podcast long enough or look at IMDb's often enough, you'll know anything above an 8, that movie's probably pretty damn good. The movie's written and directed by Mr. Ryan Coogler. You know him, you love him. Black Panther. What was the other one that he did? Creed. Fruitvale Station, and then the Creed movies as well. Well storied director. He returns to the pot here. We've done all 3 Creeds, haven't we?
Ooh.
Or is it just 2?
I think we've only done.
Or is it just the one?
We've only done the 3rd, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I feel like I would know if we did the first one. Like Creed 1 is up there with like my favorite sports movies. Like I will go to bat for that movie as being top tier all the time.
Yeah, I know we have at least one of them.
Yeah, we've got the 3rd one because that came out in maybe 2022 or something like that. So it had a theatrical release, so we got it on the pod for that. Right. I don't know if we've done Creed 1 and 2 because the first one's maybe 15.
Yeah.
Second one's probably 17.
No, I think Creed 1's
18.
like 2013, 2014 maybe.
It's old.
Yeah.
That sounds great. It's not old.
It's
10 years
like,
old plus.
I was going to say it's like 2015, the first one.
But I agree with Nathaniel. Creed 1, awesome movie. And to Adam's point, Ryan Coogler, is an excellent director. He's got a
yes, he is.
He's got a catalog that's very good.
He's slowly building one. The fact that he's already got it to where it is and he's this young makes me very excited for the rest of his career. But the cast includes, we have Mr. Michael B. Jordan, of course, in our lead role. Rejoins Ryan Coogler here. The two of them working on a lot of movies together, I would say. Of course, all 3 of the Creed movies, and then even one of the Black Panthers as well. So well-storied little duo here. Also, like one of those things where they keep working together, I'm going to keep watching no matter what is put on there. Let's see. This is cast includes this is cast in credits order, which is not always the best order. Who else do we need to shout out with? Haley Steinfeld, of course, is here. She's probably the other biggest name that a lot of people would recognize here. I want to give a shout out to, here we go. Sammy is Miles Catton. I don't know if it's Caden. And then who's our boy Nathaniel? Who plays Slim. Yes.
Delroy Lindo.
There we go. I couldn't find his name on here. He's here as well. And I need Annie. It's like a scavenger hunt here. Wunmi Musaku is Annie here. She's got a big role as well. I feel like and we need the villain is Jack O'Connell. Plays our antagonist here. I think I'll probably leave it there. Those feel like the bigger names. There are a few others as well, but I feel like those are the big ones. Unless I'm missing anyone.
No, I think you're.
No, that's solid.
All right. The IMDb summary reads as follows. Trying to leave their troubled lives behind, twin brothers return to their hometown to start again, only to discover that an even greater evil is waiting to welcome them back. It's a great summary.
Yeah, I think that'll work. That'll play.
Now, was it public knowledge to anyone else that Michael B. Jordan plays twins in this movie? Because I almost didn't want to say it because it was a kind of a surprise to me, but I don't know if I was supposed to know that. The IMDb summary already spoiled it for everybody.
It's pretty obvious in the trailers if they've seen any of those.
I didn't watch the trailers. So maybe
I'm with you.
And that's why I don't watch trailers. I was so pleasantly surprised to find out he's playing twins here.
The Smokestack twins.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I don't watch trailers. So glad that it's not a me thing and that I haven't spoiled anything. But Michael B. Jordan does in fact play twins. I was not expecting that and was very confused when they both were on screen. I was like, but that looks like Michael B. Jordan. No. But it took me a half a second, but I was like, oh, I got what's going on here.
Our second dual role movie of the podcast this year with Mickey 17 early on.
Yes, this is I didn't even think about that. Good point. Fellas, getting a lot of good reviews. As you said, 8.2 out of 10 out of IMDb. Getting a lot of buzz online as.
Oh wow, it's that high.
Yeah, a lot of buzz online as the best movie of the year so far. Potentially one of the best movies of the decade so far. What are we thinking here? Where are we at?
How about Adam? How about you go first? And then we'll kind of go down the pecking order. So
yeah. Man, I really, really, really enjoy this movie. And I think it is very, 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 very good. Pretty much everything everybody said it was. I think the worst thing this movie could have happened was have my expectations be so high for it based off of everything that that was being said ahead of time. And then my expectations were pretty high, and this does clear my expectations by quite a bit too. But because I had such high expectations, it was almost like part of me was a little let down that it wasn't even better than it was, but it is still very good. So I don't want to let that get in the way. It's just like, it's everything everybody says it is. Like, don't think like this is just like an overhyped movie. It's very well made. It's very interesting. Kind of a very good story. Great characters, great writing, incredible soundtrack and music. It looks great. Like the acting's great. Like there's not a lot here that I would change. There are a few things, but there's not really a lot that I would like have huge criticisms or gripes with. I think it's a fun movie in parts. There's definitely some good laughs and stuff. Um, not super horror if you are worried about it being a horror movie. I had my brother text me because he's not a huge horror guy, but like, and I don't think his wife is either. So he was like, "How scary is this movie?" I'm like, "Really not at all." So anyone thinking like this is a horror movie, I really wouldn't classify it as such. It's not even classified as one on AMC. It's just a drama, which I would agree with. So don't think it's too scary if you're worried about that. It's nothing out of the ordinary, really. Um, yeah, man, I think this like here's the thing about my recommendation. I really do think this is like a movie a lot of people will enjoy. Like doesn't matter. You don't have to be a cinephile. You don't have to be, someone who goes to the movies every week or whatever it is. Like there are people who probably go to the movies maybe once a year, if that, and this could be that movie for them. And I'm confident saying like and recommending it to those people. Like I do think this is approachable and doesn't, turn too many audiences away too much. I mean, Vampires isn't going to be for everybody, but like I definitely think this could be that movie that like the people who go once a year go and see. Like this could be that level of movie. And I think it's that quality, man. I don't know. I feel like I'm just rambling at this point. I'd really enjoy this movie. I highly recommend it. Go see it in IMAX if you can. I don't know if you guys saw. Did you guys see it in IMAX?
I saw it with you.
I did.
Well, yes. I know. Sorry, I guess I should have asked Blake. Yes.
Yeah, we didn't see it in IMAX though.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I saw it in IMAX on Saturday, and then Dolby on yesterday when we saw it.
Yep.
The IMAX is great. Dolby's good too. Actually, the sound in Dolby was noticeably better than the IMAX, as should be expected. But the IMAX has got some cool stuff that they do with the aspect ratios, and kind of using the full extent of the screen. So if you can, that's probably the best format to see it in. I mean, if you've got a 70 millimeter IMAX too, let that rip.
Yeah.
But
got that in my backyard.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm gonna stop rambling, but I do like this movie a lot. I highly recommend it. Nathaniel.
Yeah, as you said, I saw this with you yesterday. I did not see it at IMAX, saw it in Dolby. I am very positive on it as well too. I like this movie a lot. I don't know if it's going to be a long-lasting heavy hitter at the end of the year. I'd like to think it will be, but I feel oddly like too close to this one because I'm such a big horror fan, and maybe Blake can kind of like speak to this a little bit more as well too. It's kind of like how I felt. It's kind of how I felt like when Get Out first came out, where it was like yeah, this is a really good horror movie for people who don't watch horror movies, right? Like
Sure.
if you're in the genre and if you're in the weeds on this stuff, a lot of this stuff is going to be kind of like old hat. But then at that point, it becomes about like who's directing it, who's crafting it, who is using these time-worn tropes that we know, right? And like similar to Jordan Peele, I think Ryan Coogler really does step out and make this his own in his own vision for this movie in particular, with the kind of vampire lore and kind of his own I'm assuming his own kind of writing. He wrote this one, I believe we said, right?
Yeah.
So like kind of weaving some of at least some like ideas and lore that I'd never heard of before into that already as well too, right? And I think he comes up with something that's really just like a bit of a vibes movie, but like also just like just really strong, vivid filmmaking. I think there's maybe one or two things that like make it an 8 out of 10, not a 10 out of 10 for me in some ways, but I think easily movie of the year so far for sure. First like serious heater, first one where I'd be like, yeah, this is absolutely going out and worth going out and seeing. I think if you're a fan of movies, like you'll see this. I think there's a good chance like you'll be inspired to see it twice in a lot of ways. I would say this for me moves Coogler up the list to like that like Nolan like Denny V, like Jordan Peele level in my mind, where I'm like, you got a blank check to do whatever you want next, man. Like
Eggers, I think, is on that list.
Sure,
too,
yeah, Eggers, exactly. But like,
but he's in that echelon of.
Don't tell me
down,
anything. Just let me know when you got a movie coming out. I'll be in the theater, and I don't want to know anything, and I hope they give you a blank check to do it. Right?
Yeah.
That's where I'm at with this one. So yeah, definitely recommend. I'll echo Adam. I don't think if you're don't like scary movies or anything, I don't think this is going to be one that pushes you too far. It's not 30 Days of Night, which is like something I think it echoes in some points.
Yep, absolutely.
It's not, there's like a Thing reference. It's not even like that level of like paranoia, I would say at some points. It's really well made, and it's really a fun entry into the genre. I'll be very interested like where it ends up at the end of the year list for people, and like, or if this is going to be like their scary movie that they see this year or something.
Could be.
Blake, where are you at?
Yeah, all good points here by both the gang, and honestly, this is one I've kind of teetered back and forth after catching it on Sunday in terms of how I feel about it, and ultimately, I would recommend. I don't think I'm as high as everyone else is on this movie, and there's a lot of reasons I can get into that. But I think that would kind of be like my first comments of right. One, would recommend. Objectively a good film, but I don't think I'm coming out of this as the people who are like, I don't think I'm coming out of this as like a 4.7 on Letterboxd or whatever it was listed at for a long period of time, right?
Sure.
Or the 8.2 or the 8.3 on IMDb. That being said, I think I want to be clear, right? Just because someone says something's not like the greatest film they've ever seen doesn't mean they don't like it. Still enjoy the film. But I definitely have a handful of gripes with the movie that we'll get into once we get to spoilers. But overall went into it blind. I'm not a big trailer guy. All I knew was Ryan Coogler and Michael B. Jordan, which Ryan Coogler has pretty much gone on to say that similar to Scorsese and Leonardo DiCaprio, he's like, I want Michael B. Jordan to be my Leo, right? Like I want him in every fucking film I make. Which is cool. I can commend that at all times, right? So once I see that going on and then Michael B. Jordan's in the movie, I'm like, all right, sign me up, I'm in. So went in relatively blind, not a big trailer guy, and I'm pleased. There are some things it pulls from a lot of other movies that we'll go on to chat about, which if you're big in the horror lane, I think you saw all these things kind of get pulled, or you could see they were going to get pulled from. And if you haven't seen any of that stuff, I think it's easy to walk away from this and be like, man, this is like the greatest film I've ever seen, right? For lack of a better term. But definitely very in-depth themes of this with any Ryan Coogler film, as expected. It's like seeing a Greta Gerwig film and not expecting woman empowerment, right? So like you can already kind of expect that going into a Ryan Coogler film, which hits the nail on the head as well, of cultural assimilation and things of that nature. So kind of hard to dance around without getting into spoilers so we can actually talk about the plot. But yeah, that's kind of my brief point. So I've dabbled back and forth here on Letterboxd of what I wanted to rank it, but I think I've now settled on what I got it at. But I'll be a recommend. I'd be a dummy to say I wouldn't suggest someone to go see this movie. It is a fun movie. It's a good theater movie. Best thing we've had in theaters this year by far. So we'll let's chat spoilers and see where we go.
Sure
let's
thing.
See. Record scratch. Jukebox.
Yeah, well, if check the episode description, timestamp. Spoilers. Jukebox already played.
Spoilers.
Cool.
Yeah, fellas. So it's
shit
like,
goes down.
Yeah, coming out of this, this is a movie where, like, I knew Adam would really like this movie. And I was anticipating to get on there and chat with Adam about it. And I do like it, guys, but like I think I'm way lower on this than most people. And I think as time has went on, I say like the 24 hours, whatever, since I've seen it.
Sure.
I think I'm getting lower on it as time goes by, for multiple reasons. So I guess do we want to do we want to kind of just brainstorm here and kind of shoot the shit, or do we want to actually go through kind of the plot and what happens here? How do you guys want to attack this thing? Because there's mad layers to this movie.
I mean, if you want to start out with like what's not sitting right with you, I mean, I think that's totally fine.
Okay. Yeah. I don't for starters,
spoilers, so hopefully people have seen this movie and can empathize and understand our conversation.
Yeah, and I don't think I'm gonna go my full Nathaniel Warfare bash, right? Like I'm way more pro this movie than Nathaniel is Warfare, to be clear. But there's a few things I particularly don't care for in this movie. Let's just cut to the chase, right? Like time period, awesome, and I love it, right? That's great. Michael B. Jordan is acting his ass off. Dory Lindo's acting his ass off. The gentleman who plays Sammy is in his first theatrical debut, and he's phenomenal, right?
Yep.
Haley Stanfield's phenomenal as well. So yeah, the casting and everything is great. There's a scene in here that involves the different eras and culture of Black music, which is probably the best scene we've seen in theater in film this year.
Sure,
if not even going back.
Yeah.
A year. You know what I mean? So
Nathaniel, you missed it because we didn't see it in IMAX, but that's the aspect ratio in that scene goes up. Yeah, and I'm not gonna lie, it did change the impact of that for me a little bit. And that was an interesting kind of comparison to make as I'm sitting down and watching these films, because that's the first time that happens in the movie in IMAX. Yep. It's the first time you go full aspect ratio, and it does have a pretty big impact on that kind of that scene and the feeling of it almost.
Of course, yeah, that scene is incredibly powerful, right?
Yeah.
For many levels, regardless of what ethnicity you're coming from, but obviously incredibly powerful for me and my background. So like that's the stuff I tip my hat off to. The things I'm not so big on, fellas, I think we kind of know where we're coming from. At least Nathaniel will for sure. Is this my favorite adaptation of vampires? Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Is it the worst adaptation of vampires? I would say no, but there's certain things in here that are pulled from other movies, whether it's a vampire movie, whether it's an alien movie, whether it's some other things that I'm just kind of like, I like it, but a lot of it seems as just different homages to different horror movies per se, right? Like for one, going into it blind, once you figure out they're like building a juke joint and it's going to be kind of a club, a little like dance bar type of thing, and then I'm just like, oh, this is From Dusk Till Dawn.
Yeah.
Right? That's like the first thing that hits you. And I don't know how many people have seen From Dusk Till Dawn. It's like a 1992 movie.
Yeah, see, I think that's almost that's old for some people, right? And I don't I
haven't seen it.
It's
exactly. And I don't think a lot of people have seen it. It's to the point where I'm watching this with Haley, then I was like, have you ever seen the movie From Dusk Till Dawn? And she's like, no, I don't even know what that is.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, that makes a lot of sense.
So,
right?
for listeners who don't know, From Dusk Till Dawn is like a 93 Robert Rodriguez directed, Quentin Tarantino written, George Clooney
and acted in it.
Yeah. George Clooney movie with Salma Hayek as well too. I think it was right after Robert Rodriguez had done Desperado, or maybe right before.
Yeah, absolutely.
And yeah, there is a lot of structural similarities, maybe we'll say, between the two of them here.
Yeah, so you catch on to that right away with like the in-depth character development and the kind of the catch with between this and From Dusk Till Dawn. It's really like a tone flip about 2/3 through the movie.
Yeah, they spend a lot
like
of
one
time.
film one way.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I said
no. Go ahead, jump in, brother.
They spend a lot of time setting up the event, right, and then it switches very quickly, turns on a dime.
So yeah, that's one thing you kind of pick up on. The next thing that I really, really didn't care for, and I think it's because I have such a huge horror palette, is two things on that. One, I don't like when there are characters in horror movies who make bad decisions. And I know that's kind of just part of the genre. You got to lean into it. But you take this with the comparative of, for example, fellas, we just did 28 Days Later, and we watch it. I don't have the lead character and name off the top of my head on that one. But we watched the lead in that.
Cillian Murphy. Yeah, I can't remember his name
not
either.
Cillian Murphy, pardon me, the black lady. I can't, the English lady.
Got it.
We watch kind of her introduction right into the infection, right, the post-apocalyptic world, And it's like at that point, the characters understand what world they're in. So there's like fine, detailed decision making in terms of, okay, if someone is potentially compromised or someone has consumed blood or they're infected, we have to kill them immediately. There's not really any time for, and this one, it's a lot of like, well, can you promise to kill me if you turn into a vampire? It's like, well, I don't know if I can do that. You mean a lot to me. And it's like, well, we've already established that you can shoot these people multiple times. They fly. They're not really human anymore. So it's hard for me to buy into stuff like that in horror movies. And then the next thing that I really didn't care for, I don't think anyone would pick up on this unless you've seen 30 Days of Night, is at the end where it's the climactic scene of Remick grabbing Sammy and telling him we'll get into the larger themes as well. The themes are awesome. But Remick grabbing Sammy, and it's the hey, like I don't care about your stories. I just want your music. A lot of cultural simulation things of kind of whitewashing black people and things of that nature. Then Sammy ends up praying, and it's a sign of like, oh, like I'm terrible danger, grave danger, right? What else can I go to besides God? And then Remick starts praying with him, alluding to like, hey, like that's not gonna save you, right? Which is like kind of creepy, which some people may think.
I love that part personally.
Yeah, and I think it's good, but I think that's done in 30 Days of Night 1,000 times better, and it's just with one line of dialogue. Do you know what I'm talking about, Nathaniel? In 30 Days of Night, where there's a character, can't think of the lead in that one. He has a woman. Yeah. She looks up and she's like, oh my God, please help me. And it's his only line of the entire movie. Because prior to that,
it's the lead of the vampires, right? It's the Danny Houston.
Yep. Correct.
Yeah. I don't remember what he says, but I do remember that there is a line there, and I think it's his only one that he speaks in English, right? Like the rest of it is like they
is
have
in
the
vampire
language.
Yeah. You're absolutely right. And it's the same thing. So it's a little more moving because we haven't established that the vampires can talk. Where in this, we've seen Remick talk the entire time.
Sure.
So that scene's not as moving to me, right? Because we understand that they can speak English and articulate themselves. Where 30 Days of Night, you're kind of introduced to the characters, not thinking that they can even speak. And then it's really deep when it turns out he can speak and then he acknowledges that he's been alive for a long time, and I've never seen a god, right? And people say this all the time, so it's a much more hard hitting line. So I feel like it pulled from that. It pulled from Dusk Till Dawn. The garlic scene where they're all eating garlic pulled straight from The Thing.
Yeah, that's definitely.
Which I don't know if people have seen The Thing, right? So there's just so many. There's little things like that. No pun intended. That awesome movie, and the allegory and the themes are phenomenal. I love that stuff. Being a black person, right? But I don't know, man. There's a lot. It just pulls from a lot of shit, and it's like I think a lot of things were done better in other movies.
Yeah, I mean
that's my 2 cents before we kind of jump in deep here. But go ahead, Nathaniel. Comments, thoughts, concerns.
No, I mean
rebuttal.
I think it's interesting. I had a friend that had not a similar thought in the same way, but like his whole thing was kind of like. He felt like it raised all these really interesting ideas and then just didn't take them much further beyond once the vampire shit started hitting the fan. It was like, well, it just becomes this vampire movie, and like all of those ideas that are out there about, racial identity and like, the ability of music to transcend life and death and all that kind of thing like doesn't quite come back as strongly in the second half of the movie. And I couldn't find myself disagreeing with him. I do think like there's those parts are there. I think for me, like, I don't know. I think it quickly hit that like what I can only describe as like the Get Out zone, where it was just like I just felt like, oh, okay, I know where I am with this in reference to like the rest of the horror genre, and I was able to kind of like take off my horror fan hat for a minute and just put on my regular normie viewer hat and like enjoy more of that, and not necessarily like view those as homages rather than taking from, I guess, as much, like, and like 100%, like if it breaks your suspension of disbelief, then like those moments afterwards are going to just multiply on each other, right? Which like not to bring up the rant from last week, but like I think was evident with like once I got bought out on Warfare, like anything it did after that was going to have a tough time bringing me back in, right? And so I think like there's definitely parts of that where I can definitely see that happening with this movie as well too. I think that I mean the one shot that we've talked about before, like it's literally a one shot, and it is the one shot we've talked about earlier, is worth it to me. Like that's worth the price of admission. Like go see this movie for like that alone, and like the kick-ass story around it. But I just felt myself having a good time, and just was like along for the ride in some ways. I didn't mind all of those other bits as much, but you know, I can totally see where you're coming from as well too, though. Adam, you want to dig in a little bit here?
Yeah, I mean, I can't speak to. I can't rebuttal against Blake's points necessarily because they're all references and
movies you haven't seen,
to movies that I haven't really seen or don't have too much experience with. So like you say all that stuff, and you know what? Honestly, like that's all very valid. Like I can't just say like like forget the past movies. Like who cares if it pulls from it? It's like no, like I get it. Like you see similarities in what's being done here, and you don't see a lot of. You're someone who likes horror and wants to see new things in horror, and as we've talked about on the show before, like horror is constantly evolving, and I can totally understand how you see this and you're like, well, I've seen all of this before. Like you're not really pushing
and if you hear
boundaries anywhere necessarily on vampire stuff.
If you hear Ryan Coogler's making that too, you're like, oh damn, like I want
I'm in.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. I can definitely say like you watch this movie and you're like, oh man, yeah, Coogler's a fan. Like he knows his stuff, and like this is him shouting it out, but it's not like, oh, Coogler's down in the genre trying to push it like further out there the way like the Talk to Me guys are, right? Or like the
even
Green
Jordan
Room
Peele.
Man or Jordan Peele. Yeah, he's definitely pivoted into that more, where this feels like Jordan Peele works in the horror genre. This is Ryan Coogler doing his horror film, right? Like, And I can definitely see how that goes. Or would be different.
Yeah, and that's how I walked into this. Is like I wasn't expecting anything groundbreaking on the vampire side of things.
Yeah. Which is tough to do nowadays, anyways, right? Vampires are probably one of the oldest like monsters in general, right?
Yeah, 100%. So while I think he did his best to like try to stay faithful to vampires as they are, but also bring in some new elements. I've never seen an Irish vampire personally. I like the idea that his origins were not of like Transylvania or like Eastern
or Romania,
or whatever it is.
Like
it was an interesting choice to have it be Irish because it's also like in 1932, also somewhat of a segregated I think and discriminated against minority group was the Irish in America. Prior to World War II, really somewhat World War I, but World War II mostly. Like Irish Americans and Italian Americans were segregated against.
Yeah.
It wasn't really until after World War II that started breaking down a little bit more. So yeah, I thought that aspect of it was interesting. And I know you said there's aspects of the movie that you felt were interesting, but in terms of the vampire tropes itself, it's like I thought that was somewhat unique. But I don't have the vampire background / lore and experience that I'm sure both of you guys have, but especially Blake.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll jump in there with you too. Like I absolutely agree that his approach on the vampirism completing cultural simulation was the coolest part of this movie, in my opinion. Outside of the shot that goes through music and the decades of Black history, right? That's the coolest shot. The coolest idea from this movie is just erasing cultures through vampirism. Like that was the coolest shit to me, right? Where we haven't seen that before, where you finally get the lore on Remick as well, where he's pleading to the group as they're at the door of the juke joint, right? And he's like, hey, like I've been here before. I know what's going to happen. This isn't going to get better. And then you reflect as a Black male going from 1930 to 2020. It's like, gotten better, but like, is it the greatest experience in America being a Black person? Like, no, absolutely not. So like, there are truths to those things, right?
Yeah.
So it's really cool to kind of see that and see where Ryan Coogler went with that approach, because going into it, you're trying to play with your mind, like, okay, how are we going to get the, for lack, not in a condescending sense, but how do we get the pro-black agenda out of a vampire movie, right? And that's how he shoehorned it in, which is fucking awesome in my opinion. So yeah, I absolutely agree with you on that, Adam. That was one of the coolest things.
Yeah.
And then you also see that from Brimmick's perspective, yeah, he mentions how he was colonized, or you kind of detail how his culture was assimilated, right? When Ireland was taken over by, I believe, by Christians, at that point in time. So there's many layers to it, but a lot of it you kind of see coming, right? I do want to give some love to Haley Stanfield in this. She is awesome, but I feel like, let me not say that. She's awesome. That's one sentence. The but isn't about her, right? So she is awesome in this, and she has some of the best dialogue, in my opinion, in this movie.
Sure.
So it's really cool.
Rob all those trains, but you can't steal this pussy for a night.
Yeah. So she says that, and I was like, oh, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And when she first gets out screwed, I think that's what I realized, like, what her character was, right? When she talks to him, he's like, oh, well, you didn't say that the last time you were like, you had your tongue in my ass or something like that.
Coos. Your tongue in my coos.
So I was like, okay, I think I know where she's going. But with this, and you kind of see how Remick was, the first layer is the white people coming into a black establishment. The second layer is that they're vampires and they're simulating culture, right? So you start to unpack the layers on that. So you see where it's going, and you introduce Haley Steinfeld as like the only like
white passing.
What's the word I'm looking for? Yeah, but like I don't want to say she's the only white passing, because the vampires are also white passing. The only white, I guess, protagonist per se in a protagonist group. The only white character in the protagonist group. So I'm just like, oh, well, like somebody's absolutely going to turn into a vampire at her hands, right? Like that fits the entire identity of the film. So I'm kind of like waiting for that to happen, and sure enough, it does. But while that's going on, it's interesting because Ryan Coogler puts you in a position where you're battling internally. You're like, oh, well, are they really going to turn like Michael B. Jordan into a vampire? And then at one point, I'm like, oh, well, he is playing another character as well.
Yeah,
so like,
sure.
Like, you know what I mean? You got to go through that. So it's cool, but there's some things you kind of see the writing on the wall, in my opinion. But yeah, I'm rambling here. Somebody else jump in.
Yeah, I mean, like, I think for me, there was those moments were there for sure. I think I don't know, the bits around it, all of the lore that Coogler added, and this kind of element of like music as this communion between, across life and death, and then like the way the vampires like view that as like actually burning down the house around them and that kind of stuff, and like that's what draws them in. I found all of that so engaging overall.
Yeah.
I love Jack O'Connell, I think that's his name. I think he's O'Connell, not
Jack
O'Connell. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I've been waiting for him to break out in like a huge role for so long. I hope it's this one. I don't know if it will be. I feel like he's just like determined to always be at like the B level no matter what.
You will see him in 28 years later.
Great. Love it.
Okay. That's awesome. Yeah. That's awesome.
I loved the element of the vampires where their eyes reflected in the light, and you had that like weird like predatory sense.
Red metallic kind of color.
Yeah, exactly. And when he starts to do his own little jig and like gets the whole gang going, and they're singing Rocky Road to Dublin, and I was like, that's awesome. Yeah. And yeah, it just I don't know. I thought the whole, like the way everything was shot, the whole idea of the juke joint, all of that's just great. Seems like a great place to go have a great time. If anyone here has ever been out with Nathaniel when he's partying and dancing, he likes to get down and sweat and have a good time.
He does.
The blues.
Yeah, I think I would have a great time at this establishment, no doubt about it.
Okay. Love to hear it.
But yeah, no, I mean, it was for me, like, just a good hangout movie. I feel like it just feels like something that I'll like definitely go back to. Feels like something I could throw on with my friends, but also like sit down and have on by myself and like go to that like next layer, as like we've definitely 100%. Talked about with everything that like he has layered in and interwoven within the movie itself. I don't think it's like something that like, I don't know if it's like something necessarily that I'm going to go back to and be like, oh, I've found a new level to this. Like, I feel like it's something I understand, but I just think it is this really well done example of that. And I think there are these moments in there that I think are pretty, like, I wasn't surprised by anything. Like, to Blake's point, like, there's the pieces are in place once the action starts, that if you've watched enough movies or you're paying attention, you can kind of put together maybe what happens. But like, that's kind of like the tragedy of it already too. It's like that kind of faded, we know what's going to happen as the audience, of being here in 2025 and being able to reflect back on what might happen going on given what they've set up. But like, yeah, I didn't feel myself so I didn't feel manipulated by that. I just felt like it was, these are the things that are going to happen. This is the flow of the story. Yeah, I don't know. I think I really enjoyed it. That being said, I'm kind of of the same mind. I will be interested to see how I feel about it in 6 months. Will it be this movie where I'm like, man, that's still my one of those favorite viewing experiences of the year, which it was, but like, will I still be thinking about it the same way I think about, Nope or something like that?
Sure. Sure.
Yeah, I think to your point, Nathaniel, I don't see this being one that has a ton of layers to it. As having already seen it twice, I feel like I've got kind of a lot of what this movie has to say. But to your point as well, this has a good blend of entertainment on my own for a serious viewing experience, but also entertainment to just put on with some friends or have in the background. And Michael B. Jordan is just on screen having a blast. Haley Steinfeld's there also having fun, and like it's just and like I said earlier, like there are some fun aspects of this movie. Like it's funny at times. It's got some humor to it.
I haven't had a chance to.
Not taking itself too serious.
I want to check out the soundtrack because it fucking ruled the entire time I was watching it. Like it
yeah.
I don't know if it really stops. Like it kind of just like continues to roll through the whole movie. It seems like at some point.
It almost does. And it does like blend genres really, really well. But like, so coming in, this is Ludwig Göransson, I think is how you pronounce it.
Yeah, which they've worked together on pretty much all of their stuff.
I saw somewhere they were college roommates in film school.
I don't know if they were roommates, but they were definitely classmates for sure.
Got it. Either way, Ludwig did Oppenheimer. So coming into this, I was like, all right, this is about to be incredible, I bet. And it was, obviously. But it really stuck out to me there probably in the first 10 minutes. It's pretty early on. They have what I think is the main theme kind of play. And for movies set in Mississippi in 1932, I've never had, and this is all credit to the score. I mean, of course, Ryan Coogler makes this movie look great, but like I would never expect a movie to feel this big and this grand in this setting. Like and that's all credit to the score, because there's these, it is this southern bluesy guitar acoustic feeling sound, but there's also like it feels like horns of some sort or something bigger, like that is pumped in, almost to just kind of add weight and push these chords and everything further. I don't know, I'm not the most musically talented in terms of like how I can describe that stuff, but like, dude, it felt so like just so big, and the scope of the movie felt so huge after that. It's similar to like I talked about a couple weeks ago with Princess Mononoke, where they have that one shot and it's this beautiful score across scrolling mountains. And it's like, it's the same kind, it had that same kind of effect on me of like, oh wow, like this score, like this music and what I'm watching right now, like it feels big. Like this feels like it's about to have some weight to it in terms of like what I'm about to watch. And it had, the same effect as I was talking about then, like this just kind of sets up the movie in a way that like you can't get without that song or without that sound. Like if this, isn't scored by this guy. I'm not saying there are other composers that are capable of doing this, but like he is now Ludwig Göransson, but he did the similar thing with the Oppenheimer score, and it was just this insane blend of tempos and instruments, and he's kind of breaking conventions and playing at different tempos within the same song and all this stuff for that main theme. And it was kind of a similar thing here of like he's blending these instruments and these genres in ways that shouldn't work as well as they are, but they do, and he pulls it off. And this movie's not the same without the score. And it was incredible from start to finish.
He did Black Panther too, right? He did the doom, doom, doom.
He did, and he also did the first Creed, and he also did Tenet.
Yeah,
and Tenet's got a great score to it as well. If you remember that
Tenet
opening
does have
scene where the orchestra.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, that's an excellent point, Adam. And they even go to the further layer of the music side of this. It's like, I don't want to say the film's a musical, but there's a lot of music being played in it.
Yeah,
which is cool as well. Some people, for example, Adam yourself, right, who are big in kind of the musical genre, or Nathaniel, whoever it may be. It is cool to see that, and a lot of like the live music being played in here. You have actual actors and actresses who took up the time to like is it Miles Canton, I believe Canton.
Yep.
He actually took up the time to I'm not sure how to pronounce it correctly.
Yeah, either way.
But he actually took up the time to learn how to play the guitar. So there are multiple layers to these stuff. That's cool, man. I can always get behind that, and I can always get behind original ideas. Is something we've always preached on this podcast. So at the end of the day, it is an original Ryan Coogler idea, like came from his head. Does it pull from other things? Of course it does, but that's how ideas work. And it's not a large IP. It's not a sequel to a movie from 50 years ago or 40 years ago, right? It's not a story that's a real life story, and he's making it into a film adaptation. I can always appreciate original ideas coming to life. So, yeah, it's overall I like it, man. And just I don't think I'm the average moviegoer with like, oh, this movie's fucking phenomenal.
Yeah, I think even too, there's like one or two things, right, that could like switch stuff around that might even help with some stuff. Like I think you could start the movie with the Remick goes to the White clans, like that could almost be like the cold open, right, where he like shows up at the house after he's being pursued by the natives, kind of thing.
I need a prequel or like an anthology film of the Choctaw hunting vampires.
I wish they had come back at the end.
Yeah, they should expand it on that shit.
I agree.
So cool.
I really wish they
absolutely should
come back at the end, like, or had something to do with that final confrontation. Like, it definitely feels like there's something there that we like missed as well too. Yeah, I think there's one or two things that like that would one or maybe one more pass on the script. I don't know. There's one or two things that like I do feel like takes it just out of A+ range for me. It's in that kind of A- B+ range. But it's still like we said, heater of the year so far. Great first thing. I think again like moves Coogler into that position for me where like I will go and see whatever he puts out there. I don't need anything more beyond just his name attached to it, at this point. I think compared to Black Panther 2 Wakanda Forever, or which is just a movie that like we were pretty positive on at the time, but like I think looking back on like just a ridiculously hard task to make work
for sure,
and movie to make work, right? And I think he did a pretty great job with that. But I think this for me is also a little bit of like a return to form as well too. Like this is the guy that I want out there, making movies, and and as you said, developing that Scorsese and Leo-esque relationship with Michael B. Jordan and all that stuff.
Yeah. How do you how do you guys feel about the post-credit scenes? Right. So there's obviously you got the mid-credit and the post-credit scene.
Really liked the first one, though I think it almost like goes on like a little bit too long.
Yeah.
Didn't really feel the need for the post credit scene, but
agreed on both accounts. But I do really like the mid credit scene, and I kind of like the closure it kind of gives you with is it Stack that becomes a vampire?
Yes, it is.
I like the closure that you kind of get there.
So that is one like criticism I think is probably pretty valid too. Like a lot of folks, I've seen a lot of folks saying like they could really tell Smoke and Stack apart. I had a bit of a tougher time when neither one of them was like wearing their hat of like being 100% on who was Smoke and who was Stack at any given point, or like kind of just what their relationships were and who was whose kind of partner on that one until it like once we got further into the film, I felt like it did become more clear. But because they are supposed to kind of be a little bit like, it's not Robert Pattinson and Mickey 17. Like I could tell Mickey 17 and Mickey 18 apart, no doubt about it. Like right away, I feel like I had a little bit more of a tougher time with Michael B. Jordan on this. Like I think he's doing it purposefully. Like I think it's all thought about, but like for like as iconic as their look is and iconic as like the name, the Smokestack twins, and like having Smoke and Stack, like I love all of that. It's just I wish there was a little bit more where I could tell them apart a little bit stronger sometimes.
I think that's
I hear you on that. I had to kind of pay attention to like wardrobe, right? Where I saw Smoke was notoriously in something that was blue.
100%.
Had some sort of blue accent, and like I had to just catch on to that shit.
Yeah, and that was me as well too, right? That was where you got to. I do think some of the language in this is a little bit like definitely steeped in traditional dialect and that kind of thing. I think for me, for the most part, I was able to pick up anything through context clues, even if I didn't quite get it at the first start. But I think, like, I do think that's something that Coogler nails, is that like we oftentimes just associate a Southern accent with just like one type of Southern accent when there's actually a ton of different ones, obviously.
Yep.
And like this one in like specifically the Mississippi Delta has a lot of really interesting and varied kind of accents and just culture in general as well too. And I think that was something that's super well captured in this as well too.
Yeah, absolutely. And then to even circle back on the mid and post credit scene, particularly the mid credit scene, it was cool because you kind of see that with Stack being turned into a vampire. I mean, he almost gets the better end of the deal, right? Because he gets to spend eternity with his loved one, which he couldn't do at the time in 1930. You couldn't openly be in a relationship with a white woman, right? Every time someone talks to Haley Stanfield, they have to like take their hat off and greet her very professionally, and with the utmost respect, right? Where that would put her in danger to be in a relationship with a black man. So it was cool to kind of see that, and he obviously ends up paying Sammy, right, the large chunk of money, because of course vampires always have money. In every fucking movie of all time, vampires always have money.
Well, you're around, you just accumulate it. You never go into debt for some reason.
Generational wealth doesn't really apply, so you just keep building that shit.
Yeah, so it was cool. I think for my horror liking, I enjoy things just to be a little bit more bleak, right? Opposed to like, hey, this was a terrible scenario, but like there's a happy ending for our protagonist. You know what I mean?
Well,
I think that's just I don't know. I think I'm too knee deep in horror, but overall it was cool. It was cool, man. I really didn't like. I really have a hard time suspending my disbelief. I don't like characters making bad decisions in horror movies, and that's very redundant coming from me. But I appreciate horror movies so much more when the answer isn't just people making dumb decisions.
Or like if it's like a green room where like those dumb decisions do feel like, oh, it's because you're panicking.
But they feel rational.
Like
yes, they feel rational.
Like exactly. You're making the best decision you can for yourself at the time. It just might be the wrong one, kind of thing. Yeah.
Yes. Right. Yeah, where in this, like, I don't know if I get that.
No, I
you
think
see them kind of go through it a little bit with the garlic sequence.
Yeah.
But when you have the Grace character, the Asian woman who's in there, which side tip, having an Asian man and woman and couple in this as well is awesome because a lot of times you get these period pieces and you're always like, what the fuck happened to like all the other ethnicities?
Yeah.
Like it's only black people and white people.
Yeah, 100%.
It's cool to see that.
There's a strong tradition of the like Chinese and the Chinese Mississippi Delta as well too. Like, yeah.
Absolutely. So it was cool to get that, but like her character just like, I just like, what an asshole, right? They're like putting together a plan.
Yeah.
Like what they're gonna do, and then she gets like impatient because the vampire has insulted her and her husband, and her husband's obviously turned, right? And he speaks to her in Mandarin,
and is threatening to go after her. Yeah, threatening to go after her daughter as well.
Get the fuck out of here, man! You see what's going on in real time. I don't think it's like I'm upset. I'm gonna just fucking compromise our entire plan and let the vampires in.
Yeah,
like I think in that scenario, what I would have liked to see happen is like, before she can even get that far, is like, we understand the severity of the problem we're in. Like, we would kill you before you even made that decision. Right? I think that would have been a little more on par, in my opinion. But of course, you got to continue the plot. So,
I was like I said, I was willing enough at a certain point to just be like, I don't know, these are the vampires and the rules for this particular movie, right? And if I was a woman in 1930s Mississippi, I don't know if I would be able to think straightly at that point. But like, I also I totally get where you're coming from too. Like, I do feel like the movie watching part of me, like 100% just knows the beats of where this movie's going. Yeah. But at the same time, I enjoyed the hell out of my time on my ride to there. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And real quick too, I do want to add in, I do love the faithfulness Ryan Coogler stays to the vampire lore of them not being, they can't just walk in places. You have to let them.
Yeah. There's some great bits with that of like, trying to get someone in or out. I like the garlic. Awesome. I think that's funny. I like the garlic scene as well too.
Delroy not
going out a hero.
Well, no, the garlic bit where he was like choking on it, basically.
Oh yeah, he says he's drank too much.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was cool.
Yeah.
That's kind of my thoughts. Anyone else want to get something to wrap it up in here? I know we got a hard stop here, so
yeah, we gotta get moving. But I don't know. It was fun to watch something new. I think at the end of the day, I know Blake would disagree with this, but to me, it felt like a relatively fun and unique-ish take on vampires.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a good time.
10,000 times better than Warfare.
Yeah. So for context, I saw this with Haley, and like this may be her favorite movie of all time.
Really?
Yeah, like all jokes aside, which was like, I can get on board with that. I was like, I'm glad I got a horror movie, something that's horror adjacent that you can like fuck with heavy. But yeah, obviously the background that I'm coming from is lacking.
This one's gonna.
But she loves it.
I was gonna say this one's gonna end up as a. You're gonna end up liking this one just through osmosis, just by you're gonna learn to love it. You know.
Yeah, exactly.
For sure. Yeah.
Did she say why she liked it so much? Was there anything?
Yeah, I think what she's really fond of about the movie is not. She likes horror movies a little bit, right? Obviously, dating me for some time, you kind of have to get accustomed to it.
Sure.
But I think what she has a fond attraction to the movie is just the vampirism being cultural appropriation and cultural simulation.
Yeah.
I think she was like, that's one of the coolest things I've kind of seen, right? Because we've now done a few vampire movies. We've done Let the Right One In, Nathaniel, the Swedish joint.
Yeah.
So she had an idea of like, she already knew the lore that you have to let a vampire in.
Sure.
And shit like
that. My friends did not know that.
Be aware of that. Yeah, it's cool when you know that stuff. So
you're right.
Yeah, man.
This
my friends that I saw it with on Saturday, I saw it actually with a relatively big group. There was maybe 6 of us.
Okay.
And like more than half of them didn't know. Maybe only 1 or 2 of them knew about the vampire thing. They had no idea that you had to like invite vampires in. They were like confused by that.
OG vampire lore, man.
Blake, did you ever?
I thought that was common knowledge.
Did you ever see the movie Idlewild?
I don't believe so. No.
Okay, it's from 2006 with Andre 3000 and Big Boy.
No, but Big Boy is in one of my favorite personal favorite movies of all time, though.
Okay, I want to know what that one is after this, but this
yeah, go ahead.
I remember like for some reason like seeing the trailer for Idlewild a bunch where like I think it's also set in the 1930s at possibly like a juke joint, but like maybe in a bigger city. It's almost like more like a casino kind of thing. But like this movie is what I remember the trailer for Idlewild making me think like it was gonna be. It's just that the whole juke joint element of this yeah. Thought maybe.
Okay, yeah, I'm looking at it right now. I don't. Oh, maybe it's got Terrence Howard in it. I'd have to click it.
Yeah,
I'd have to click it. I'm sure I've seen it before.
Yeah, it was my reference point. I guess I should say. But
okay,
what's the big boy movie?
He's in a movie called ATL, obviously short for Atlanta.
Sure. Yeah,
and he plays like a drug kingpin. He's the antagonist.
Sure.
He is so good in that role.
Really?
Like so good. Like you almost hate him.
Okay.
But he's so good in that role, man. It's got T.I.'s in it. Who else is in that? Keith David is in it.
He is known for Idlewild, ATL, and XXX State of the Union.
Oh, good old XXX.
He was a writer on it.
Yeah. But yeah, fellas, that's it, man. So, yeah, we'll see. No worries, brother.
All right, fellas.
Do we want to try to rank it?
Yeah, let's get this ranked. Tentatively ranked. We'll have to wait for Tyler's. But welcome back, listeners who skipped over the spoiler segment. We're gonna go ahead and rank Sinners up on our Entropy list. If you don't know what the Entropy list is, it's our big list of all the movies we have watched on the podcast, all ranked and compared to one another. It's essentially how we rate our movies rather than do it out of 5 stars or out of 10. We throw up all the movies we review on a list and see how they compare to one another. If you want to reference the Entropy list for yourself, you can do so by checking the episode description, where it is linked to my Letterboxd. Sinners is entry 231 on the list here, fellas. Down there at 230 is Borderlands. Down there, or up there at number 1, rightfully so, is Dune Part 2.
Pain. I'm going 68. Below Nope. Above Gone Girl.
Okay.
Wow, that was fast.
Concise to the point. Adam?
I can't be that quick, man.
Okay.
I'll be close to it.
I'll think aloud with you.
I mean, that's not a bad spot by any means, Nathaniel.
Thank you. This list is chock-a-block, I tell you.
It is.
Blake's gonna sink this thing. I could feel it.
Yeah, this is tough for me.
It's because and I can see why. Looking at the list here, it's because the movies that you love are horror movies, and they're just, you got things like Blade at 106, like
sure, yeah,
or like The Descent at whatever that is. Where is it? The Descent 116.
I think I'm gonna give it credit for the vampirism cultural simulation plot point. Phenomenal. And the scene of transcending music through time and Black culture. That message alone and that scene alone is, like I said, one of the best scenes I've seen the past few years. So that's going to boost it up for me. That being said, that being said, this is tough. I'm gonna go 87. Below Inside Out 2, above A Knight's Tale. For listeners, that's also above Top Gun Maverick.
Yeah, that's
which is a pretty fucking good movie too.
That is a really good movie. Respectable spot. Respectable. I'm torn because this is, as Entropy list grows and rankings and opinions vary.
I feel like movies pushing this thing like 40s.
Whoa, no.
Okay.
Not quite. I mean, there's maybe a handful of movies that could shuffle above this, but like definitely right near Nathaniel's range. I'll give us that much. Like the 67 or was it 68? Below Nope, yeah, below Nope. That Nathaniel give it. Like I don't mind that. I see some movies below where I'm like, I don't know if I want to put this above those, but then I definitely see some ones above where I'm like, I don't know. Long Legs is like the biggest one for me where I'm like, man, I like this more than Long Legs. Maybe not by a lot, but I definitely do. And I like this probably better than Nosferatu, honestly.
That's one I was kind of bad on with myself too.
Yeah, but
I was kind of bad with myself too. But I think I gave
feels high.
Yeah, Nosferatu it does actually seem a little high. But however, the cinematography in Nosferatu is phenomenal. Just the place setting is phenomenal.
Sure,
where I could talk about transporting you in time to Transylvania and.
But same could be said about this movie.
That's true. That's true. That's true.
So yeah, I'm really stuck in this range though, but because I could put it anywhere from 70 all the way up to like I don't know. But I could put this above. It Follows on the right day, you know. Or even definitely above Alien Romulus. It Follows is great. Don't get me wrong.
I could give you Romulus for sure.
Yeah, Romulus. This deserves to be above Romulus. I'm not gonna lie. But I'll stop. Shuffling my feet. Long Legs is the biggest one that I have a problem with, even though it's gonna be above some movies I really enjoy. I think that's the one where I'll be like, I'll stick it right above there. So above Long Legs and below Princess Mononoke at 65, I think is a good enough spot for me. Now this is gonna change.
Yep.
Yeah.
Based on what?
Where's that average just right now, though, brother?
Yes, currently that will give us an average of 73.3. So putting it at 74 below Iron Claw, above Guardians 3.
That's fair.
Pretty good spot. I've got a sneaky feeling Tyler is going to be the lowest of us on this movie.
We'll see.
I don't know why, but
lower than I am.
I feel it's like this weird Back Row Banter thing where like if me and Nathaniel like a movie and Blake kind of likes it, it's usually like Tyler doesn't like it. Or like if Blake and Tyler really like a movie and Nathaniel kind of likes it, I don't like it. It's like, it's like, we've had this kind of weird thing going where like,
or you all three really like a movie,
people,
I fucking hate it.
Right. Or at least are not as high and are going to drag it down a little bit. I feel like this could happen here. I've just got a sneaky feeling with that. All right. We'll leave it at 74 for now until Tyler gives us his rating. And we'll leave it there. Cool. Plugs. That's it for our review this week. Next week's review, we have it.
What are we doing?
The Accountant and The Accountant 2 double episode. I can't commit to that double up right now. We'll have to talk about it. We'll figure out the night to record next week. Yeah, it might be a little tough, but we'll see. Join us for The Accountant. We're gonna, and to clarify for listeners, we're gonna try to do a double ep of the original movie, and the new one coming out as well. Check those out, and then join us for our review next week. Let's do those plugs that you were talking about, Blake. Please follow the show. Follow us on Twitter, Banter Row, on YouTube, or Back Row Banter, and our email is backrowbanterpod@gmail.com if you want to send us one of those. You can find me on Twitter at H24 and on Letterboxd at H. That's AYYSH. Continuing strong with the Letterboxd reviews, I should say ratings, not reviews. Reviews will come. Nathaniel?
You can find me on Twitter and Letterboxd at @NSGingrich. No, I'm not on Twitter anymore, so just Letterboxd at @NSGingrich. Nathaniel G on Instagram. I think I'm NSGingrich or Nathaniel G on Blue Sky, but yeah. Blake, get us out of here.
Letterboxd BlakeHolder. Be on there, log some things, right out of 5 stars. Sinners is a 3.5. PSN, Mr. Water Coolers, Xbox, Mr. Water Coolers. Am I last, fellas?
Yes.
Yep.
Cool. Appreciate support. Appreciate the listenership. Tune in next week. The Accountant. we'll go from there. We'll BRB.
America. Ready for another lesson.
But one thing we were talking about where we were at Murphy's Bleachers is playoff basketball now.
Yes, okay. we were watching the Oklahoma City Thunder.
I've been watching some of that.
Blow out the Memphis Grizzlies.
Decimate the fucking Grizzlies.
That game was horrible. I didn't even watch it. By the time I turned it on, that was the Sunday night game, I think.
Yeah.
It said Haley's. By the time I pulled it up on my phone, they were winning 36, and I was like, I'm not watching this shit.
It felt very similar.
I went to YouTube and started watching something else.
It felt very similar to seeing a lightning strike a bear, maybe. What would happen in sport form.
Thunder are good, man.
Talking about mascots?
They'll probably get out of there. And
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That actually went over my head, Nathaniel.
I was in my head. It was
for a second. I thought I was like, "What is that analogy? What a crazy analogy to just pull out of your ass a bear lightning strike." I was like, "I've never heard that," and I realized what he was talking about.
Yeah, they if a lightning struck a bear, I imagine it would be very explosive, and the bear would lose quite dramatically, which seemed to happen to the Thunder versus the Grizz.
Yeah. I don't think the rest of the series will look like that necessarily, but
no, they probably get really out of there in 5, I'd say.
Yeah. Thunder look really, really good. I don't I don't know. Maybe my favorites to win right now.
Ooh.
I know everyone's saying the Lakers and playoff LeBron and whatever.
I would like to see the Lakers win.
Yeah.
Do they
I think it would be cool.
Probably not. But I would like to see.
Wait, why are we behind the Lakers all of a sudden? I thought the Lakers were like the Yankees. It's generally fuck the Lakers.
Yeah. I'm a big enough Bron fan to kind of bypass all that, though.
Fair enough. Okay.
Right. And then you also now include the Luka Doncic ordeal. It's like it would be cool to see trade midseason turn into a championship.
Okay.
Now do they actually do it? Probably not, man.
Their defense looks suspect.
Yeah, I think they lost 2 days ago to the Timberwolves. You'd hope they kind of play better. But I think they'll make it out of the T-Wolves. I don't think they can make it out of the West, right, to actually go to the finals. As far as favorites, though, I still think it's hard to go against the Celtics, man. The Celtics are so fucking deep, dude.
No,
it's so annoying watching the Celtics play basketball.
Celtics look really good, but honestly, dude, no one's talking about how good the Cavs are. And I
from
agree. The start of the season until the end of the season, they have been, in my opinion, probably the best team in basketball. The Celtics are good, and on their best night.
I just lost audio wise, so I'm gonna unplug and plug back in.
The Cavs, man.
Yeah, you were saying the Cavs are way better than everyone thinks.
I think they're just not. They're just
who are they playing?
Not being talked about. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
But they're just not being talked about as a true contender. I don't feel like
they're not getting the respect.
If you know NBA, they should be being talked about, or how good they are, but not nearly as enough attention as they probably should have gotten, considering the start they had and how they kind of sustained a lot of that success throughout the year. And they are healthy, from my understanding. I don't think they have any injuries going into these playoffs.
You're right, and that's the biggest,
and that's huge.
As we all know in sports is
and especially for the Cavs, who Spida's been in and out of the lineup the past few years, but he's been really healthy all year for the most part.
Yeah.
Evan Mobley's had stints on the IR, so
they're
healthy. Yes, Jared Allen.
Is LeBron
What's
old?
Up, brother?
I love Jared Allen. LeBron
is LeBron old?
Yeah.
Yeah, LeBron's
a career should have been done 8 years ago.
No, but I mean, I'm talking athletic old. Is he still helping his team, or is how much is he contributing? Is he washed? I guess is the better way of saying this at this point.
As the kids would say it, right? Is LeBron washed? I would say
absolutely not.
Heavily no. And it's crazy because he's fucking 40. And he's still like one of the best players on the court, depending on who they're playing.
Arguably a top 10 player in the NBA still.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, you can make that argument, and it's not crazy. Like I'm not.
I would
that,
confidently say top 15.
Confidently, yeah, I would lock that in.
Okay,
that's very confident.
That's what
top 10. You could make the argument.
But hell, even being a top fucking 50 player in the NBA at age 40,
being a starter, everyday starter at age 40 is nuts.
Yeah, right.
Well, yeah, that's what I guess what I'm saying. Is he playing all the minutes still? Or is he taking time off?
Depends on the night. If you watch him play, it is very second half loaded, and you can tell on defense his effort's not there. Like there are nights where like he is actually trying. It's an important game, a matchup that matters, or whatever it is. Like
but
when he wants to turn it on, he is where he needs to be, and he's very good. It's just his night to night effort is up and down just because of his age for the most part, and I mean that's just how it is. But like in the playoffs, as we've seen the past couple of years. He's on every night. Like it's vintage LeBron for the most part in most of these games. Like playoff LeBron is where he is not resting, really. So,
well, he's gonna have to turn it on. Tomorrow night with the two.
Also,
if they go down 0-2. It's not ideal.
That's tough.
Genuinely, how many years has LeBron missed the playoffs?
I'd have to fact check it off the top of my head. I can't imagine more than like 5.
Yeah, so like in some ways, like his season doesn't even fucking start till now. Like,
no. LeBron,
I mean, he missed
the
with
playoffs a total of 4 times in his career: 03 to 04, 04 to 05. 18
okay,
to
so
19,
the years he was a rookie with the Cavs,
so
basically.
And then Lakers, his first 2 years there after they'd sold all their pieces, or I guess not the first 2 years.
Yeah, I mean they did some
first
trades,
year and then
getting injured,
and then the year after they won the championship in the bubble.
So,
which also, that team disbanded for the most part.
Well, here's a basketball question for you, fellas, and probably more so Adam. I don't know if Nathaniel's going to have the knowledge to answer it, but the question is going to be: so watching kind of the Heat, right, clobber the Bulls as we were talking about last week. Go on and beat the Hawks, and they lost to the Cavs in the kind of the first game, the first of 7, but played relatively well. Excuse me. Can we confidently say Tyler Hero is the best white American player in the NBA?
Active?
I would have to say yes. If not, who do we think's better than him?
I mean, do you count Nikola Jokic? You said American?
Yeah, white American player.
What's the friend?
It's got to be Tyler Hero, dude. He had like fucking 38 in the play-in game against the Bulls.
You could argue Chet Holmgren. I'm gonna toss that out there.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna toss that out there. I would,
probably tossing Austin Reeves.
I was gonna say that was the name that I was gonna
Reeves,
think. Yeah, the Lakers kid, right?
Yeah,
yeah. Austin Reeves would probably be ahead of Tyler Hero for me.
Really? I don't know, man. Yeah,
have you seen that kid play? I think
Austin
night to
Reeves
night
is good.
Night to night, I think he's better. I think Tyler Hero maybe has a higher ceiling on his best nights
because he's the focal point of their
correct
offense,
and
he's getting any shot he wants. Shit like that.
If you're telling me build a franchise, pick your white American player. I'd pick AR-15 over Hero mainly for injury reasons. Tyler Hero stays on the injured list,
and Austin Reeves is probably the bigger guy. Austin Reeves is probably like 6'6". Tyler Hero's probably 6'4".
More dynamic. He can shoot and drive.
Yeah, that's the most American nickname I've ever heard.
AR-15.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. AR-15. That's funny.
It's great.
Speaking of which, you asked me. I jokingly said Steve Nash. Then I remembered he's Canadian. But that
Steve Nash, actually, Canadian.
That
contrary to popular belief.
Does lead me into the point that I want, or actually lead me into the film a little bit because. I remember the Steve Nash Nike Air Force One commercial with Saul Williams' list of demands on playing on the background, and Saul Williams is in this movie as the preacher.
There it is. Segue. Shout out Steve Nash, man. 2-time MVP as well. People forget.
That's right. You know who doesn't? Nelly Furtado.
Back-to-back MVP. I'm sorry. One more time. Did you say he dated Nelly Furtado?
No, I said, you know who doesn't forget is Nelly Furtado because there's the, what is it? The song "Promiscuous Girl." It's one of the lines.
She has a Steve Nash bar.
Yeah, she says,
"Oh, you're gonna give it to me like you're Steve Nash."
Yeah, MVP like Steve Nash.
Yeah.
What a drop from Nelly Furtado. The Steve Nash drop.
What a good song, though, dude.
Yeah, dude, that song
play it
time capsule
forever. Play it till I die. Play it at my funeral. What a good song.
How many Steve Nash bars do you get in
not enough
music history, right?
Not enough.
Absolutely not.
Not enough, I would argue.
I think it was that. I think there's a Action Bronson Kenny Lofton line that I think about often.
Action Bronson has a lot of sports references, so I believe it.
But yeah, that's another one as well too. Just some good ones.
Funny.